Until recently, many players had a festival bus stored in their garages. A ridiculous sight, sure, but one that players had gotten used to. That changed with the Bottom Dollar Bounties DLC, when it was added to the GTA Online's Blacklisted Vehicles list, a hidden system that blocks certain vehicles from ever being saved within your personal garage, even with glitches. And the festival bus is just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we're going to go over 100 land vehicles that you can't put in your garage, from rare utility trucks to completely drivable but mysteriously forbidden cars. One rare vehicle that many people think of when they think of the blacklisted cars in the game is the Lost Slam Van, although this vehicle surprisingly isn't on the official blacklist, but does have some things that require you to win it in the casino rather than purchase or take it to LSC and make it your own, meaning that it is available via glitches because it's not on the blacklist. The lawnmower is a great example of a vehicle that is on the blacklist, and even though it doesn't spawn in online, even if it did, there'd be no way for you to store this in your garage, as if you took it and glitched it into your garage, it would show up as an empty spot within the garage as Rockstar would remove it automatically. The Fixture is the rarest bicycle in the game, and it shouldn't be a surprise that it's also been blacklisted. Again, it doesn't spawn in online, as it only spawns in one story mode mission, but even if it did, you wouldn't be able to keep it. The wrecked version of the Ruiner does count as its own separate version of the vehicle, and although it only spawns in a couple of missions and not in free mode, you cannot store this in your garage via glitches. Although if you spawn it in with mod menus, it is actually drivable, which is odd. The Rusty Tractor is able to be owned if you unlock it via the Arena War Progress. However, it isn't obtainable via your garage because it's on the blacklist. So, like all the other vehicles, you can't keep this or glitch it. You have to go through the hours of grinding to unlock it in the arena. Both the Civilian Caddy and the Golf Caddy are unavailable to store in your garage. That being said, you can own the Bunker Caddy within the bunker and call Agent 14 to request it if you really want to drive and own your own caddy. Heading to the docks, it should be no surprise that the dock handler cannot be kept in a garage. This is mostly likely due to the fact that it doesn't fit within a garage, though also it is on this list of vehicles. The dock tug will be one of my most requested vehicles to own out of these blacklisted vehicles, and if there was a way to glitch it, I'm not a fan of glitches, but I'd probably find a way to do it. However, with it being on the blacklist, it falls victim to the same fate as the rest of these vehicles, including the Forklift, which would be my second most requested vehicle on this list. If there was a way I could own this, I would, and you'd see me with a whole bunch of them. Two other vehicles that are simply on the blacklist include the Cutter and the Dump. Now the Dump is a Pegasus vehicle, so you do have options to own it and call it in, but again, it won't fit in the garage and neither will the Cutter, so these vehicles were obviously added to the blacklist from day one. Speaking of vehicles from day one, the Security Dilettante was not originally blacklisted, but during the Business DLC in 2014, it was added to the blacklist. But prior to that, you could add it to your garage. If you already had it in your garage back in 2013 and early 2014 like the Festival Bus, it would have been removed when it was added to the blacklist. The next three vehicles have very unique circumstances with them, and we'll start off with the Clown Van. Now the Clown Van is not exactly blacklisted, as you can enter LSC and you can add bombs to them. However, if you store this in your garage and then reload into a new session, it will revert back to a normal version of the Speedo. The same thing can be said for the McGill-Olsen Bison and the Mighty Bush Bison, which will both revert to a stock version of the Bison if you reload the lobby after getting them in your garage. So these three vehicles aren't exactly blacklisted, but they may as well be. The civilian version of the Burrito was originally a vehicle that you could own, but it wasn't able to be insured as you couldn't bring it into Los Santos Customs. It was then blacklisted in the Heist DLC. Every other version of the Burrito, including the McGill-Olsen Burrito and the LSDWP Burritos, and every other one you see on the screen right now, are blacklisted and cannot be stored anymore. But there's one more burrito that is also on the blacklist, meaning we can't own the burrito at all nowadays, and that's the Snowy Burrito. And obviously the rest of the Snowy vehicles also aren't available, and that includes the Snowy Acia, the Snowy Emperor, the Snowy Mesa, the Snowy Saddler, and the Snowy Fieldmaster. But we can also tack this onto the regular Fieldmaster, as it probably wouldn't fit in most of our garages anyway. All three versions of the Stockade are also on the blacklist, including the newest version which can be purchased online. However, the new version is only a Pegasus vehicle and can't be glitched or stored within the garage because it's on the blacklist. The last two Snowy vehicles are the Snowy Police vehicles, including the Police Rancher and the Police Road Cruiser, which aren't even obtainable in online to drive around unless you use a mod menu. Now, I think it's important to mention that some of these vehicles can be glitched into the garage via a mod menu, which isn't exactly a glitch, but this does automatically put you onto a watch list for other glitches and exploits, and you could easily risk having your character wiped or deleted. Many of the original police vehicles in the game are also on the blacklist, and this includes the Buffalo Police Cruiser, the Police Cruiser Interceptor, and the Stanier Police Cruiser. And both of the FIB vehicles fall victim to the blacklist as well. Although I will always say that I'm surprised many of these simple police cars are not obtainable nowadays. With some of the new police vehicles we've gotten, the Police Buffalo and FIB Buffalo could easily sell for $3 million if Rockstar wanted them to. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but Rockstar would do it. Now, the Police Riot can be purchased for $4.8 million, but can't be stored in the garage simply due to the fact that it's in this video and on this list. The Police Transport spawns around the map occasionally, and although you can drive it around the map, it can't go into the LSC or be stored in your garage. Both of the Sheriff vehicles also fall into the same category, so don't try and get those into your garage anytime soon either. Now, the surprising one that people probably won't expect is the Police Bike, which cannot be stored in your garage, rarely spawns, and can't be taken to LSC or any other personal mod shop. Now, you might be thinking, but we can own the Police Bike and it has to be stored in the garage. Well, the new version of the Police Bike that came out with the recent update was a new model of the Police Bike entirely, completely separate from the 2013 Police Bike that we used in story mode. The last 3 emergency vehicles on this list include the fire truck, the ambulance, and the prison bus, which all wouldn't fit into a garage either way. Now, to rapid fire through some of these, we have some military vehicles on the blacklist, including the Rhino tank, the Crusader, and all 3 versions of the barracks, including the regular barracks, the heist barracks, and the barracks semi, which I think would be another good ownable vehicle, especially for the MOC. For more big trucks that just simply wouldn't fit in the garage, we can include the Benson and the Cluckenbell Benson, which are basically exact replicas of each other, as well as the post-op Boxville, and every other version of the Boxville. Not sure why you'd want to keep a garage full of post-op Boxvilles anyway. The Taxi, however, has some interesting notes to it, as it can't be stored in the garage, but can be brought to LSC, although the only thing you can change on it is adding bombs. Some more vans on the blacklist include the Lost MC Gang Burrito, both versions of the Pony, including the regular Sprunk Pony that spawns around the map occasionally, and the new Smoke on the Water Pony that you get with the career progress of the recent DLC. The last simple road van that we can't store in our garage is the Deludamol Rumpo, and I'm not sure exactly when or where this is used, but I know that I've seen it before. As for some other larger trucks, the Hauler and Hauler Custom are on the blacklist, even though we can buy the Hauler Custom in the bunker, and the same can be said for the Phantom, the Christmas Phantom, and the Phantom Custom, with the Phantom Custom being purchasable in the bunker, but not storable in the garage. I will forever be upset that the Packer never got a Packer Custom variant, but either way, it's still blacklisted as well. Other blacklisted industrial trucks include the Flatbed, the Civilian Mule, Heist Mule, and the Ramp Door Mule, as well as the Pounder. Now, before you could purchase it, the Duke of Death was obtainable during the Heist DLC, and you could glitch it into your garage. However, there was a weird thing that happened to this vehicle. Whenever you took it out of the garage, it would automatically explode. So rather than it being on the blacklist, it had this weird perk to it that you'd have it in your garage, but you'd never be able to use it. It was then blacklisted in the Ill-Gotten Gains Part 1 DLC, and then unblacklisted again in the Special Vehicle Circuit when it became available for purchase. There were also 5 other vehicles that became unblacklisted during that DLC, including the Go-Go Monkey Ballista, the Sprunk Buffalo, the Redwood Gauntlet, the Burger Shot Stallion, and the Pissfosser Dominator. This extensive list also includes the Airport Bus, the City Bus, and the Dashhound Bus. Moving back to the airport, we can include the Airtug and the Ripley on this list, as these cannot be obtained in any way of the game, including glitched into your garage. Now, to rapid fire some more of these boring street trucks that I don't think anyone would ever want to own in the first place, we have the Biff, both versions of the Mixer, the Rubble, the Scrap Truck, both versions of the Tipper, the Trash Masters, and the Brigade. It's interesting to note that only the regular Brigade is on this list, and not the Brigade 6x6. Moving into the last vehicles of this video, we can include the Tour Bus, as well as the Taco Van. Both vehicles are unobtainable within your garage, as well as the Space Docker, which is obtainable via the Arena War progress, but can't be glitched in like the Lost Slam Van. For those who like to spend a weekend out in the woods, unfortunately your only option is the Journey 2, as the original Journey is on the blacklist, and so is the Camper. Both of the monster trucks are limited to Pegasus vehicles only and can't be glitched into your garage as well. And the Vetier is also strictly a Pegasus vehicle. The last 10 land vehicles in the Blacklist include all 3 versions of the utility truck, including the cherry picker, van, and truck variants, the Insurgent pickup, but not the Insurgent pickup custom, as well as the technical, but not the technical custom, 2 ownable limos, including the Stretch and the turreted limo, meaning that the Patriot Stretch is the only limo available in our garages, every single version of the tow truck, which includes the small tow truck, the large tow truck, the clean chop shop tow truck, and the beater chop shop tow truck. Now, there are 2 other vehicles I wanted to quickly mention that many people are unaware of, and the first is the Seminole, which was blacklisted in the High Life DLC and then re-whitelisted in the Heist DLC. So there was a brief period where it was removed from people's garages or unobtainable, but nowadays you can pick this vehicle up whenever you want. The Rat Loader has a similar origin story, as it was accidentally blacklisted in the first DLC of GTA Online, the Beach Bum DLC, and quickly re-whitelisted in the Valentine's Massacre Special. Now, I'm not sure why these 2 vehicles became briefly blacklisted, but they were, and they're 2 of the only vehicles to be blacklisted and whitelisted repeatedly. So which of these vehicles would you most want to have in your garage? Well, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all next week for a new video in the new office.